Hello, this me, Bamm back at you again, and I'm talking about another situation. I'd like to talk about the first situation we had when I was at USP or Supermax, Marion. And this is a situation I mentioned in one of my earlier intros. And I like to talk about, well, in USP, Marion is known for the situation with Thomas Silverstein and the Aryan brothers when they killed Cadillac from DC, and they killed a couple of guards and they killed a couple of others in order for to get their recognition and everything. And I met this man further on down the line, and he turned to a Buddhist and seemed to be very receptive to dealing with anybody. But as for then, what he was and the killings that he did for the brotherhood, and I mean, that's for the life that you get caught up in and you live it. But in our dead time in Marion, when I was in Marion, I was there. I was not there with John Gotti, but he had just recently left there and went to the hospital in Springfield where he died. I later come to that hospital in Springfield with me and Charlie Harrison, Woody Harrison daddy. We would sit right across from each other in the cell, and we used to talk. We used to call him the ice cream man because he enjoyed buying ice cream for everybody. But he's a pretty good old dude, and I think he was in jail then for killing a federal judge or trying to have a hit on a federal judge. But he was getting, I think, nasal infection and a couple other things. He later died, and John Gotti died in the cell that I was in. When I came there, everybody was telling me that I was in the cell that John Gotti died in. But to go back to USP, which was Supermax Marion, back in Thomas Silverstein time, if you look him up, the Aryan brother and going on, like I said, we had a couple of incidents and everything, and we respect each other. But in my time in Marion and going on, that's when I met some pretty solid men, and I was still in a Supermax situation. I caught a couple of incidents there. I mean, a 200 series shot, a stabbing shot, and I mean, they separated me from my homeboys from Shreveport because they said that I was too aggressive. So, but anyway, the long story short is the Supermax that we wore, that's the Supermax that we got that they shut down when they had to eventually, because the cruelty and leaving people in a Supermax situation without giving them the opportunity to advance was a problem, and they started getting political push, and they started getting fam and all these people, and they started pushing about that because it's like, hey, you stuck here, there's no incentive for you to do anything. So anyway, I got pushed into that, and I got pushed into the step down unit after a few years there with only one incident. And I got pushed down into the step down unit, and I got over there, and they had decided that what they were gonna do, they were gonna take the program and they were gonna start doubling us up and make it into a penitentiary. And the people, the guards themselves said, hey, we've been treating these guys too bad, and these guys are too dangerous to double them up in the cell. They either gonna kill their cellie, or they gonna have two cellies who's super dangerous that we gonna have to go in there on if they decide that they don't wanna follow the rules, and it's gonna be dangerous to us. So the officer Tracy, if I remember, Stacy, that was the name, Stacy, good officer, pretty good dude. He was a muscle builder and everything, so he led that way. And because they could not have an actual strike because they under public safety, they had to have, for under public safety, you have to be at your job. If you don't be at your job, that's like you actually can be arrested and everything or incarcerated. So what they do is they stage these strikes where everybody would take so much leave time or so much medical time that it would leave them short of staff. And actually, when they had to move us over to the step down unit, they actually had to use administration staff because officers wouldn't even report it because they didn't want to participate in that because they knew the danger of it. we got over there. They ran pretty good for a couple of months. But then they started easing some of the officers over there who had been dogging people out while they was behind the bars and everything. But a situation came up again with two inmates, and one I think again was a Muslim, and they was telling him about something had happened over in the Middle East. It was with Abu Ghraib, in Abu Ghraib situation, and brother Quran had got burned up and everything. Anyway, officer lost his life when they were doing all that crazy stuff and everything. So some of the people at the penitentiary, some of the staff at the penitentiary actually had family that was over there, and they was militarily, connected. So they felt some kind of way about that towards the Muslim community. Me myself, I'm a Christian and not a Muslim, but I respect everybody's right to be who they are. You understand? So, and I don't like the abuse of no people, no matter who, what color, no matter what kind, no matter what religion. So when they was pressing the Muslim and doing the different things they were doing, I could see it. And I just we convicts. So now we done grouped us together at convict. We're gonna live at convict, white, blue, red, green, and yellow. And they went in these guys, Shaheed said, and threw his prayer rug around, and they threw some of his Quran and several other things around. And then he come from work and he asked them about it, and he like, hey man, what happened? Why is my Quran all over the floor? Why is my prayer rug has been done like this here? And they had an officer, which they have to hire a certain amount of officers that do have mental deficiency, but can work with a sister as they make y'all do at any job you got. Once you got more than 13 people, then you have to hire a person that has social situations or whatever that that he can work with people with a sister. And because the federal people demand that of the people in society, they themselves have to go back. So you got some officers that working in jobs that should not be in certain positions, but they can work with people. So as Ward was one of these, he was one of these officers, and he destroyed the man's room, saying something about he had family over there in the Middle East and this and that was in the military. And so the guy Shaheed come home, he won this lawsuit. The guy who I'm mentioning right now one of them won a lawsuit, and he goes and he tell him, say man, who messed up my room? Who went in my room? What happened to my room like that? Dude, like, hey man, you forgot you saying y'all that old saying in stuff and blase, this and that. And so dude said, man, so you gonna disgrace? So he walked up on us, man, don't know this, this is how I feel about this is my life, this is my God, this is my religion. Man, you do what we tell you do. We gonna go on. Y'all saying ends, y'all such. And so anyway, he pushed the dude, and Shaheed swung on him, and when Shaheed swung on him, he started, it went down. And then a brother of mine, who I knew him from long ago, and he was one of my young homies before he became a Muslim. And when he became a Muslim, he became like a straight arrow. He come in, he work out every day, go in his cell, read his Quran. So he was like a straight arrow, and I respected him for that. But he come running out, and he like, boom, what's going on, man? Hey, stop, don't put your head on my Muslim brother. He like, you shut up, you get something back. But the other officer at the time, Stacy, he was a solid officer. He was a bodybuilder. He was actually a bodybuilder out on the streets. Now he's come talk to me when I worked the laundry. He's a bodybuilder, and he's a very, very amicable dude. And he was calling for the dude Ward, hey, come back. Leave the dude alone, man, come on back. Dude, man, and he just kept on going. The officer kept on going. So when Dawood ran over there, Dawood said, hey man, don't hit my brother no more. And so when he said that, Stacy, you get back going on, because he got to protect his officer. They got this thing going down that you can't stop your officer it's under code that you can't stop, but they want us to stop our homeboys when they doing something stupid. But you can't stop your officer if he doing something stupid. You just have to back him. So they just I've seen that so many times, and I suffered from that so many times when people have come to me later and told me that I was in the right. But he backed his officer, and Dawu walked up to me, man, don't hit my mother and brother. And he hit Ward, and when he hit him, Dawu hit him. When Dawu hit him, you can see his jaw go two different ways. One part of his mouth went this way, the other part of his mouth went this way. And he was a muscle build dude, so I think he was surprised at the impact that he received. And so it took a lot of fight out of him, so he took off running, and then both of them took off running. And so we knew what they police at that, because it was a Supermax Marion, we knew what they was gonna do to the individual. So when they came in, we kind of surrounded the individual, like, hold on, man, what y'all gonna do to him? Do it to him by the book. And so they came in, and they herded us in, all in our cell. Then they herded them into their cells, but they herded, we only one of us to a cell, but they herded them two into the cell together. And they couldn't do nothing to them in front of us because we would have tore the cells up and everything, whether they been white, blue, green, red, Muslim, whatever, because at that time we was on convict time, so they escorted them out the unit. When they escorted them out the unit, they took them down, and so about a week later, one of the ladies who I'm gonna say she was a former counselor, a former whatever, but she came in and she advised all of us that they had beat them boys so bad that Terre Haute would not even receive them. And Terre Haute is the place where they hold death row prisoners. And they were shipping them to death row, and they got a compound, but they were shipping them to death row to the compound in the holding thing. And the people actually would not accept them because they was damaged from the abuse and the beating they had received, that the people didn't want to sign off on them because they didn't want to take responsibility for these individuals in their condition. Only way they gonna sign off on them if the institution that was sending them had listed down all of their medical infirmities. Their head swole up, their eye beat out, and they wouldn't do that. So they said, we can't accept them under this condition, so they sent them back. So they remained in the hole, and when this lady come by and talked to a certain one of us, and she explained to us what had went on. She kind of like knew who had a voice in the units. Blacks, white, greens, red. I mean, I was there with Jimmy, the one who, if you've seen that movie Blow, that was about him, the one flew the airplanes and had all the drugs. He used to fly the airplanes for the cartels. The dude Raphael who killed the border people and everything. You know, all of these Supermax. That's what they contain. You ain't gonna get there unless you P carry on. I mean, you know, vicious. You know, I mean, he was a Mexican murderer, and he was. But he was good people with me. I never had that thing. But these are the type of people there. But she kind of understood who knew what and who had a little power with different people. So she come by my cell, she said that she went by some of the other individual cells. She went by the Aaron Brothers cell, which was Hammerstein at that time. And yeah, I think it was Hammerstein, or I think it was Hammerstein or Rick. But anyway, so they went by the cells and everything. And so now when we come out, we come out and we say, hey, listen here, man, we ain't going for that, because if they do it to you this week, they'll do it to us next week. So now we all, hey man, everybody going in. So we know everybody refused to go in, so they come. Lieutenant came, Lieutenant Massey came, he started shooting, we were shooting, he was shooting and going on. So we withheld the ammunition, they come with all the guns, then they started bringing the bean bag guns. We withhold long as that we could, and then they forced us on back into our cell. A week later, they tried to do it again, they let us out again, thought everything was all right, and we did the same thing. And then they finally, they like what the issue was. They want to have a town hall meeting, and we said the issue is that you abusing inmates. You know, inmates get into it, hurt your officer. You also hurt inmates. Every other day we hear about your officer that broke an inmate jaw, and broke an inmate arm, and we haven't done nothing but yet and still. But when as soon as an officer or inmate defend himself or hurt an officer, then he get superly abused. So do we do the same thing to y'all in return, or do we get some justice in this here? So anyway, the result was they locked us down for 2 weeks, and then the last day of that 2 weeks, they put it on the they called it, put it on the intercom and told us, hey, all the inmates put their TV on channel 12 at 12 o'clock for the noon news. So we put it on there for the noon news, and it said that 9 staff members had been walked off the compound for their participation in abusing several 2 inmates while they was in the hole and going on. I think it was like 1 captain, maybe 2 lieutenants, maybe like 4 or 5 officers, and 1 medical, something like. But it came up to 9. And so after that situation going on, we sit down and the people got together. We used to actually have our own town hall meetings. I was down there with Big Terry, Bamm, these Aaron brother dudes, and I mean, they about their business. Each one of them to kill a couple of people, a couple of black people and all that. You know what I'm saying? Matter of fact, it was really they had really concern about sending me over to the step down unit, because I had actually been charged with assault on the Aaron brother dude when he stabbed another black guy in front of me. And they actually, in that assault, they tried to charge me with it, and they said that they said that I was the one who had the knife, and when in actuality they had doctored the film, not doctored the film, but they had dismissed the film, and they was going by the guard's statement. And the situation was something was going on with the GDs and with the Aaron brother, which I'm neither one. I mean, I guess you can tell, not an Aaron brother, but I'm not an EG. I'm just a dude from Shreveport. I was bottom. They could consider me a bottom boy because that's where I grew up at, not because it was a gang. But yet and still, they had a situation going on with the thing happened with Hoover, where the Aaron brothers moved on Hoover down in ADX before I got there. And so it was circulating around the system. They were sending secret codes to move on certain individuals. So a guy who was a GD, they put him on our range, and Aaron brother sympathizer was, I guess I seen him talking sign language. Just one reason I learned sign language. Most of the Aaron brothers know sign language, and black people started to learn it. But they was doing the sign language back and forth, and I didn't understand nothing they said. But I told my homeboy, I said, something going on there. And so I told the dude, I did not fool with the individual and who they attacked, because he was an idiot. He was a crash dummy, and I did not fool, and I wouldn't even let him use my magazine. So I talked to the individual, the Aaron brother sympathizer, and say, hey man, whatever you got going on, dude, let's not do it on this plane, because we trying to leave. He ain't going on. I said, I'm going to send him upstairs. I'm going to get a Cuban upstairs to pack up buglers to move downstairs. And then he can go upstairs and move down there with you and then relieve you of your obligation, because I seen you in your conversation. He's like, nah, man, ain't no big deal, ain't no big deal. I said, so you gave me your word that there ain't nothing happened? He said, yeah, I gave you my word. So we went on. So I think we come out, I mean, they're drinking all night, and I think we come out the next day, and maybe in a Saturday, and instead of them moving us, letting us out where we usually come out, well, it would be 4 of them, and it will be 3 of us, and one white individual will be the Aaron brother, Aaron, that was named. So it would be him. They moved it front to back. So when they moved it when the police opened it up front to back, it came up where it was me and the individual cat and 2 Aryan brothers. And so when we come out, I go get my thing. I'm doing the hangover thing. So I go get my tray. When I get my tray, I turn around and I see the dude cat, GD, Aaron, he stabbed him up against the wall, and dude cat trying to run through the wall. So I turn around, I'm like, oh man. So I take the tray and I start smashing him with the tray. And I smash him with the tray, I drop him, and the guy cat, he take off. He run to the cell. So I think he gonna get a knife and finish the dude out because he got a free body. So he run to the cell. So now I'm stomping the dude. I'm like, and the dude got glasses on, and I'm stomping the dude, and the glasses cutting into his face, but he started stabbing me in my ankle. So the whole time he stabbed me in my ankle, I'm like, drop the knife, so I can stop stomping him, because I ain't getting off on doing him this. So I keep stomping, then finally he dropped the knife, and his hand flailed back like that. So I'm like, okay, but I know the game people play. They'll sit there and play like they're unconscious, and as soon as you disarm yourself or you let the police cuff you up, they'll hurt you. So I don't do those things. So the police, when he dropped the knife, when I go to reach down for the knife, the police take the knife he take a stick through the bar, because we can't have no contact with police. He take a stick through the bar and hit the knife and pull the knife toward him. And when he pulled the knife toward him, that's when Lieutenant Lockhart, I think his name was, that he knew my case, and he knew me from Texarkana. He was Lieutenant Texarkana. So they was telling me, get it, cuff up. And I'm like, man, I ain't doing no cuffing up. Y'all open the door and let me in my cell. It's like, hey, cuff up. I said, man, do not do no cuffing up. Y'all can go get the guns. Y'all can do whatever y'all gonna do. Bring the bean bag. We gonna do this here, but I'm not cuffing up. Why this dude? I said, if you want me to cuff up, I said, tell you what, move back. I'm gonna kill him. Then I cuff up. And they said, no, we're going back to. I said, well, I'm not cuffing up while nobody still is able to hurt me. And he said, so that's when Lieutenant Lockhart, a big black lieutenant with glasses, he come down there. He said, hey, that's Bamm. He ain't gonna cuff up. He said, listen, Bamm, we finna open the door to your cell. You go on in there. I said, man, I've been telling them that all the time. They opened the door to my cell. I went in there. I went in the cell. They came back. Somebody had thrown a knife out of their cell by my cell. And they got us and they locked us up for it. They charged me. They sent it to the feds. I got so many charges that been sent to the feds, but because I had so much time, I was only given charge for a few of them. I was only given time for a few of them, but they sent that to the feds, and they said that I had attacked the guy and I stabbed him all in the face. They didn't say nothing about that he was stabbing the individual, that he had the knife that the police grabbed disappeared and everything. But because they didn't have the video footage and they didn't have all this stuff here, the people could not actually convict me of this thing going on. So they sent it back, and they took, like, I think 30 days of good time, my loss of privileges. I couldn't go to the store for about 6 months or something like that. And then the guy Cat, I think they did the same for him, and he come up and tried to explain to me about how, actually when he come up and explained that he didn't ask for my assistance, and that he tried to cut me out of it, and I explained to him that I do not fool with people like you. I did not do that because of you. I did that because that man had gave me his word that he was not going to do what he did. And that's the reason I did what I did. I said, but because of you, I would never went out there for you, because you're not worth it. And he told all my homeboys and everything that I was mad at him. I wasn't mad at him, I just understood him and I recognized him. And that's a big difference. I can't be mad at somebody for being who they are. But if I want you to get the story, I want you to get the story straight. And that's how I live.